Yo. Hello. Yes, sir. Can you hear me okay? Just checking my audio before we start at 8. Perfect. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you for joining. I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to hang out here for 10 minutes. I just like to get set up nice and early. But I hope you're having a good night. Just getting ready to share this on Instagram so people can find the link. Are you working late tonight? Yes, sir. I just heard myself. Yo. Sorry, P, I can't fully read your name there, but welcome. We're going to start at 8. I just left a note there just to explain. I just wanted to be in early because there's been some technical difficulties the last couple of weeks. I just want to make sure everything's all good, but thanks for joining. We're going to get started properly at about 8. Welcome, people. If you're just joining, I've just left a note there. We're going to get started in 10 minutes. But hello. Trying to get a photo that doesn't look that scary for the Instagram story. But I look really scary. This must be what you guys see. No, scary. I know how to find one. I know how to find a photo. Hello. FIFA Dabber, welcome. Welcome. Just making sure everything's in order. Everyone can hear me okay. We'll get started at 8. Thanks for joining early. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Ishan, hello. Nice to see you. Correct me if I'm saying your name correctly. What is up? What is up is that at 8 o'clock, we're going to kick off another CRUMCAST. So get your questions ready, and we'll get stuck into it. I'm just doing some due diligence here. I'm going to start sharing out the links to people on Instagram. Out of curiosity, if any of you guys are here, how do you find out about the cast? Is it through YouTube or is it through Instagram? Let me know. Because I do try and share the link and let people know. Because I get people asking, like, when is the stream? And it's like, it's every Thursday. Like, I post about it the morning of every Thursday. Yeah, YouTube. Okay, fair enough. And I also try and do posts on my channel. So that if you subscribe to the channel, you'll see that it's like, obviously I won't be able to do it forever. But, okay. YouTube sent a reminder to your email. That's good. I did not ask them to do that. So that's nice of them. Thank you for joining. Montute Studio. Am I saying that correctly? Montu? Just sharing the link here now. Get distracted so easily. Yes, okay, cool. Thank you. It's someone with an Irish name. I'm just sensitive that, it's easy to mispronounce things. Welcome, people. Welcome. There's already 7 of us in here. We're going to get started at 8 if anyone's missed the message there. I just wanted to come in, make sure we were all good for sound and video. But thanks for joining early. Much appreciated. Much appreciated, people. How's everyone doing? Are we working late? Are we in the studio? Are we in the office? Are we just at home? Am I your entertainment for the evening? There is no wrong answer to that question. I'm just curious. Oh, thank you for the gift. 1 gift membership. Much appreciated. Very much appreciated. I think I was explaining this last week. So, I mean, first of all, I'm happy if you join. Like, I'm just happy if you join. Then I'm super happy if you sub, because that's much appreciated as well. But I don't advertise it, but I do have a membership on here as well. And I haven't sorted out all the membership tiers on it, but always much appreciated when people support what I'm doing through the membership. So much appreciated. Someone did leave me a comment this week though, and they said they were trying to sub to the channel, and the only option they had was to join. And I thought that was I thought they must have already been subbed. Has anyone else seen that? Because you shouldn't be prompted to join. You should only be prompted to subscribe unless you're already a subscriber. Now, I think he might have just made a mistake. Maybe he was already subbed and didn't realize that. I'm not sure. But it's good for me to know, because this is the thing. As much as I love and appreciate anyone who wants to purchase a membership, I'm not aggressively selling it. I'm really just happy with a sub. And I'm really, really happy if you just join and chat with me. But I just thought I'd cover that because that's the first time someone mentioned that. 6 minutes to go. FIFA Dabber, it's always assignment Thursday night. What's your assignment? What is your deadline day? Is it like if Thursday's always assignment, and does that mean it's always due Friday? Let me know. Just waiting for some more people to join here. We're up to 11. Welcome, people. Sorry if I'm beginning to sound like a broken record here. Raha says the live stream always reminds me how fast time goes. It's already the 4th. I know, it's scary. It's really scary how fast the weeks are going, especially at this time of the year, and especially if you're a student, because you live week to week on deadlines. So in a way, my lifestyle is a little bit like that now. I've got my deadlines. I've got 2 deadlines every week, and it just makes the weeks go super fast. Routine is good, but routine does speed things up quite a bit. Yeah, you're a student at Raha. Yeah, jury next week also. Spooky jury. Don't let the jury scare you. They're just architects like me. Probably don't know what they're doing. Just double checking everything's all good here. Random question, guys. Anyone here collect Pokemon cards? One of my best friends, who is an architect, is in the middle of selling his Pokemon cards because he needs money. Read into that what you will about the state of the profession right now. But he did just text me to say that he just sold a Pokemon card. And I think wow, okay. Whoa, okay. He just sold a lot of Pokemon cards for a lot of money. So guys, you go to a job interview and they're like, show me your portfolio. You might be better off just pulling out a portfolio of Pokemon cards because it's probably worth more money. It's probably worth more than the job. So be smart, people. I do see that we're getting some questions in here. I will go through the chat methodically, like I do, once everyone's in and settled. So this is like a pre-stream, I guess. I just like to start at 7. I like to start 15 minutes early, just because, who mentioned it here? Was it Raha mentioned it? Yeah, like Raha mentioned. This is the 4th week in a row now that I've done the weekly stream. I wanted to start doing this properly back in May. So I did like the experimental stream, which was like a massive success because there were so many of you in it and I really loved doing it. I think I talked for about 2 hours, but it's a learning curve and I'm trying to get better at it. And I want to be more sort of professional about it. So I like to be in a little bit early, but I do realize now that everyone just joined in as soon as I, opened up the room, which is fine. That's okay too. But I'm just happy that you're all still so keen to talk about architecture. So what else going on, people? So if you just joined, say hello. I'm just going to send another reminder out that we're live on Instagram. It's funny how many of you here have only exclusively found me through YouTube though, which means maybe when I post about the YouTube channel on Instagram, I'm literally just screaming into the void. Just please follow, please watch. Maybe they just literally don't work. But let me see. I just posted a story out there. Oh yeah, the countdown's still going on Instagram, so that's one thing. Good. Okay. But yeah, guys, Pokemon cards, invest. Invest in Pokemon cards and invest in yourselves, but invest in Pokemon cards. Two more minutes before we're kicking off proper. How are we doing? Okay, so it's Thursday. And then when is jury day? Friday or next week? So you work through the weekend? Oh, Einar Gustafsson, welcome. I just had an architecture critique today. Care to give me some better advice? Oh, that's a salty comment. What advice were you given? What went wrong? Guys, that's really what I should just market this stream as. Had a bad crit? Come talk to Crum. I'll give you a good crit. We all know that's not how it works. If anyone's seen my review content, you'll know that I am not that positive. Which reminds me, if there's anyone here who follows me and enjoys my content, check out the Future Blueprint, the channel that I run with Rebecca. Rebecca actually teaches architecture, so it's her actual job. It's not just her hobby like it's become for me. And the two of us review architecture on that channel. So check that out. I'm just going to send a little, I wonder if I can send the actual link to the channel in the chat. I bet with the marvels of the World Wide Web in 2025, that should be pretty easy to do. Let me see. Standby chat. And again, we're now sort of officially almost live. 1 minute to go. Where is the link? Here it is. Yeah, because we're trying to grow that channel at the minute. And I think we're doing pretty well. I think we have almost we have 750 subscribers, but I'm just going to pin the link down here now. And then there we go. And then how do I just pin this? Just pin. Okay, yeah. Check out Future Blueprint. And yeah, because we're in the middle of actually reviewing a competition that we ran ourselves, which is for the Alternative Queen Elizabeth II Memorial Bridge competition. So I don't know if anybody saw in the news lately or recently that there was a competition that was won by Foster and Partner, and we decided to run our own version of it. And if you win the competition, you get a free iPad Air and pencil, because that's just how generous Rebecca and I are. So what I'm getting at there is that if you're into, design commentary and whatnot, check out the Future Blueprint. Rebecca keeps me on a tight leash, which is probably for the best. See, this channel's wild, completely unhinged, and I just say whatever. But then with Rebecca sort of grounds me and, keeps it more professional. Tries to anyway. Maybe she won't appreciate me saying that, but definitely a more professional package, if you ask me. Did you do a critique of that winning proposal? Which winning proposal? Of the bridge? What's your favorite bridge? Okay, sorry. Right, actually, we're sort of live here now. So okay, it's after 8. There are 12 of us in the room. Welcome back. If you've been here before, welcome back. I know some of you have. If you've never been here before, here's a bit of housekeeping. Okay, this is CRUMCAST weekly live architecture Q&A show, usually directed mostly at young architects and students. Don't think we've ever had anyone in here who's quite senior. Maybe we have, I don't know. Maybe I'm the most senior person in the room. I'm often called the architecture uncle in this chat, so that's fine. But some things that you should know. So obviously, love doing this. Always try and do it every single week for 1 hour, where I just try to answer your questions and just chat about architecture in general. So if you join, introduce yourself, say hello, chat to everyone, and get a question in for me, and I'll do my best to answer it as best as possible. I do this because I absolutely love doing it. But if you're here, you could do me a favor and support the channel and just subscribe. Just press the big fat subscribe button. It should be here somewhere. So if you could just do me a favor and just sub to the channel, that would be fantastic. I've also pinned a link to the Future Blueprint, which is a co-channel I run with my colleague, Rebecca Jane McConnell, Dr. Rebecca Jane McConnell. And she teaches architecture, actually teaches it. Okay, so that's just some more shared content that we do. One last thing, as always, there are ads on this stream, but they should be at an absolute minimum. So again, apologies for that. But then also, again, I have to turn on the ads to keep the channel running. So I hope everyone's okay with that. We have 16 people now in the room. That is fantastic. So do me a favor, everyone. Introduce yourself. Say hello. Tell me where you're from. Are you working late? Are you in the studio? Are you in the office? Get your architecture questions in, and I'm going to start rolling down through the chat. Okay, and I'm going to do my absolute best here to get through everything in about an hour. So without further ado, welcome. CRUMCAST is live. Hello, people. Hello. So let's see. What do we have here? We had a question very early on. Double checking here. Sorry. Okay, yes. So we had Einar Gustafsson. I just had an architecture critique today. Care to give me some better advice? They didn't like my hot pink floating boxes. Why not? Tell me why. Because this is a critical question here. I can't see your drawings, obviously. So is it that they didn't like the drawings of the pink floating boxes, or is it that the idea was really bad? Because if you ask me, the idea might be bad if the drawings don't sell the idea. So let's talk about that a little bit more. Raha Karan pinned the link. I have pinned the link to the Future Blueprint. I should have pinned it. You should be able to see it, guys. So support that channel with a sub. Ishan says, what's your favorite bridge? That is a tricky question, but it probably will segue into more bridge chat in a minute. 18 people now. Hello, hello. Welcome. Introduce yourself. Get your questions in. What is my favorite bridge? I really love... Is anyone familiar with Venice? Maybe this doesn't necessarily count. My pronunciation, this is going to be terrible. The Quarini Stampalia Foundation in Venice by Carlo Scarpa has the most beautiful, intricate footbridge as you enter into it. I'm going to find a quick image of that now for the chat. Does anyone know the one I'm talking about? Apologies, I do not speak Italian. I visited this project back in 2020 and it was awesome. But this bridge is just beautiful. I'm thinking it's a bridge. It's a footbridge that goes over the canal into the foundation itself. 1 second, people. Just having a look at it now. Yeah, here it is. Love this guy. I'm gonna save. I wonder if this will work. I wonder. Isn't this amazing technology? Look at me learning how JPEGs and stuff work. I wonder if it'll let me do that. No, 1 second. Sorry, I'm gonna just leave I'm gonna leave a link to the project here now in a second. Yeah, Fondazione Corini Stampalia. If there's anyone Italian in the chat, my sincere apologies. I'm not mocking you. It's just the only way I know how to try and pronounce this. The link is coming in now. Coming in hot, people. Should be coming in now. Okay, cool. Unbelievable bridge. Love it. So I think that's my favorite bridge. Does it count as a bridge? I think it counts as a bridge. Yeah, that counts as a bridge. That's a real architect's bridge, though, but I love it. It's beautiful. Yeah, visited in 2020 during COVID after lockdown, and it was like there was no one in Venice except me and my wife. That was fun. Me, my wife, and Scarpa. What a trip. Okay, so that's my favorite bridge, but there was another question here surrounding... Oh, Raha says, I would have participated if I knew about it. Do you have any upcoming ones? See, this is the thing, Raha. Could you let me know in the chat? Do you follow me exclusively through YouTube, or do you see any of my Instagram content? Because we marketed that competition pretty aggressively during the summer. So if you haven't seen it, then that's a lesson to us that we need to also be posting on YouTube too, because we got like 60 entries, which was amazing considering it was unpaid. Basically, you're entering for free with a chance to win the iPad. But we only asked for one drawing or one image, whatever way you want to interpret it. And we asked, do you only spend 45 minutes on it? And then we asked that and then in return, we promised that we would review every single one of the entries in a video format on our Future Blueprint channel. So if you're interested in seeing what that competition was like, because the response to it was fantastic, like I said, over 60 entries, check out those reviews. They're being posted now. We actually reviewed one today, 2-hour review. So that's finishing up. We're going to announce the winners soon, but we will do others probably. We don't know if this was a success in terms of format and engagement, but the fact that we got 60 architects to submit a design for us and we weren't paying, which is obviously we're only paying through, I suppose this is criminal, but we're only paying through the possibility of you getting an iPad or the fact that we are going to review your project and give you live exposure on our YouTube channel. It's not ideal, but I mean, it's a much better deal if you ask me than most of these competitions that ask you to pay £100 to enter and then you never hear back from them ever again because it turns out 1,000 people entered. That's not fair, is it? So, I mean, it's the best we can do as basically a channel that are trying to, we're called the Future Blueprint. We're looking at new ways of doing things. It's not perfect, but we're doing our best. So, yeah, would appreciate any support you could give us on that channel. Did you do a critique of that winning proposal about the bridge? No. So, Monto Studio, not yet. We have now reviewed all 60. We have to put together a shortlist, and then we will be judging that shortlist with 3 guest judges in a special episode. So I imagine we're going to announce the winner of that competition by the end of October. And I know that that's not ideal because the idea was that whoever wins would have, the iPad by the end of September. But we spent more time reviewing the entries than we actually anticipated, which it's good and it's bad, I suppose. But soon is my sort of short answer to that. FIFA Dabber, did you see Norman Foster is redesigning the San Siro? Yeah, actually, I think that's a really exciting project. Can you confirm though, it's not being demolished anymore, is it, the San Siro? Originally, they were going to demolish it, or is it that they're just going to rebuild it and Foster's going to be designing it? Yeah, FIFA Dabber looks like an outdated, brutalist, high-tech building now. I don't think I've seen. Have there been any design images released for this yet? Who else we got going here? Mark Guatemalan says, "Wee Little Architecture Critique." It sounds like the name of this channel. That's all it says, just wee little critiques. Jim McGuckin, hello, Cahill. I would like to know what your opinion is on the frankly labyrinthian David Kerr building. I love it. It's probably one of my favorite buildings in Queens because it's so weird and just corridor after corridor after corridor. And the weirdest thing so far, so sorry for anyone in the chat who's listening, the David Kerr building is the engineering building at Queen's University, Belfast, but the architecture studio is in it. And obviously, when I was a student, I studied in that building for 2 years, 3 years. So I spent 3 years basically living in that architecture studio in that building, and I basically knew every single nook and cranny in it. Like, I knew my whole way around it. And I was actually back recently for the first time in about 7 years and was disappointed at how much better it got. So, Dara in the chat, sorry, I'm skipping ahead, but this is relevant. Dara says, "You mean the haunted building we walk through at 4 a.m. on a regular basis?" Was it haunted, or was it me that was haunting it? Because people always say they saw a ghost in there, and I'm like, it was probably just me walking around in my pajamas. I don't know. Maybe that's not the right thing to say. Definitely some crazy nights in that building. But back to Jim, back to your original comment. What are my thoughts on it? I like it. It's a big pentagon, isn't it? A big, giant, chunky perimeter block. Lots of little secrets. Tracy says the one across from the most haunted graveyard in Ireland. Yeah, well, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself in the chat. Tracy, welcome to the chat. Thanks for joining. Hello. Absolute congratulations on the Pokemon cards. Just telling everybody here that, don't invest in yourselves. Just invest in Pokemon cards and you'll be set up for the future. Sorry, Jim, again, just about the David Kerr building. I'm assuming you're a student in it, or you're studying in it now, or you're teaching in it. But I like it. I also happen to have my favorite toilet in Belfast is in the David Kerr building. That's all I'm going to say about that. But there's a really great toilet in there. Love that toilet. That's, to me, that's the sign of a good building, when you can have a favorite toilet in it. Anyway, going off on a tangent there. How are we doing here? Have I skipped ahead? Yasser, welcome. Fourth year. Oh, sorry, Yasser, you've been here from 7:45. So, yeah, I mean, you've been waiting. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yasser, fourth year student here, working on a library design now. I just wanted to ask what your favorite library you've visited or not is. Libraries. I mean, I live in Stockholm, so the Stadsbibliotek by Gunnar Asplund is an awesome library. If anyone is familiar with it, just going to leave it in the chat here. I'm sure if you're an architecture student, you've probably seen it. But they are currently actually renovating it at the minute. And I actually went to see it a couple of weeks ago, and it was just all scaffolding. So they've been renovating it for a while, to be honest. But that's a really cool library. Something closer to home, Trinity Library is phenomenal. Amazing library. I'm not sure if you're specifically asking for reference or you're just, you just want to know what my thoughts are on libraries. What other libraries are pretty great? This one will have to come back to me. I remember as a student, we visited Utrecht in the Netherlands. There was an insane library by Villeritz, which was really, really cool. Now, I was a third year student when we visited, and it had this, maybe you would say it's a gimmick, maybe not, maybe that's unfair. But every bookcase was aligned with the structural grid of the building and all of the mullions on the windows. So there was this real dedication to aligning everything upon a grid. And at the time, it like blew my mind because I was a student. I was like, "This is the most amazing thing ever." But thinking back about it now, I might just Google this one to see. I don't know if anyone knows that project, but thinking back about it now, it was very dark, very grey, very cold, not a very warm space to study. Maybe someone disagrees. I'm going to just drop it in here now. I'm just double checking it myself. I'm pretty sure that's who the architect was, though. Sorry, people. Thanks for standing by as I start Googling stuff because I should really know these answers. It's Utrecht University Library by Veal Arts. I'm going to fire the link in here. Actually, oh, sorry, 1 second. Looking at the photos here on the website, it is a cool building. But like I said, I never studied in it, so it's unfair for me to say how it actually performs as a library. Here it is. But check it out for sure, and check out I don't know, but the Stadsbibliotek, check that one out. That one's really, really cool. So I'm just going to see what else is going on in the chat. Welcome everyone. We're up to 16 again now. Get your questions in, introduce yourself, say hello. Where are we now? FIFA Dabber, back more specifically to the San Siro. I love the current spiral ramp, but for me, I also think the atmosphere is amazing, and I would have loved to see it before they destroyed it. Is that what they're doing? Are they knocking it down and building it again? I'm a huge football fan, and I've never visited the San Siro. Big regret. Sad that I'll never, probably never will visit it. But iconic stadium. Even when I was like 20 years ago, just getting into football, I knew about the San Siro. So yeah, I don't know. Norman, I mean, say what you want, okay, about Foster's. Safe pair of hands, surely, for a stadium redevelopment, right? I mean, if it's going to happen, can't really complain that he's going to be involved. Mark Guatemalan says, what do you think about architects stepping into urbanism? I'm going to say something really weird here, okay? I understand that urbanism is a professionalism, a profession in itself that's adjacent to architecture. But I think if you're an architect, you're an urbanist. Like, is that a cheap answer? Like, I think it's a natural step, all for it. I used to work at a company. I used to work at a company called McCraner Lavington, and they hired architects and urbanists, and they had a whole urbanism department. I think they still do now. So check that practice out if you're looking into that, because but I think it's so much that a lot of the urbanists weren't necessarily qualified as architects. They just had architectural training in their background, and then they specialized in urbanism. What do I think about it? I think it's good. It's good. Like, I'm not critical of that at all. If it's something you're interested in, I don't know if that's maybe why you're asking. Not sure. Petro, I have studied at many different universities. You remind me of a young teacher. He was like one of us students. He and you give me the idea that it's possible to learn through teaching. Petro, thank you very much for that nice comment. But I mean, I'm not a teacher. I have to be careful. I hope that you can learn something from chatting with me. But like actually, have I taught? I've never taught at a I taught at Queen's when I was at Queen's, but I taught technical skills like drawing. So I did like drawing classes for a couple of semesters. So I would just teach like first years and second years how to do perspectives and stuff. And I don't think I was that good at it. This is the kind of stuff I love doing. Just love chatting about stuff. But thank you. That's a really nice message. So much appreciated. Raha exclusively from YouTube. I don't really use Instagram that much, but I am kind of now follower probably since the end. Yeah, that makes sense. It's funny because I ended up on YouTube through Instagram. So YouTube was like the third platform I sort of moved on to. And it's fun. Like I love it because you meet people who don't know you through the other ones in a weird way. And not everyone is like terminally online like I am, where you have to be on every single platform. So no, it's cool. It's just it's a good reminder to me and Rebecca that we need to advertise things on YouTube as well, not just Instagram. So Ishan says, love Carlo Scarpa. He is amazing. Also, I heard somewhere that modern architecture makes people sick. Do you agree? Do you mean it makes people physically sick? Isn't it like the design makes people unwell? Or do you mean like in a dramatic sense, like people think it's disgusting? Happy to have the conversation either way. Dara Tracy, yeah, you mean the haunted building we walked through at 4 a.m. It was haunted, but I think I was the one haunting it. FIFA Dabber, okay, you guys are chatting, no problem. Zed, U8L, hello, Cal, a good habit you've built through architecture school. That's a good question. Welcome, Zed, and that is a good question. A good habit. Never miss a deadline. I say that to everybody now. Never miss a deadline. Do your absolute best to never ask for an extension unless something happens. Okay. When I was a student, I ended up in hospital and I missed a ton of deadlines. Okay. I got really sick. It wasn't like super serious, but like I had to go to the hospital. That's okay. If you're sick, miss the deadline. Okay. But see, like not being able to manage your time or spending too long on the wrong thing and not prioritizing the deadlines and then having to email your professor or your tutor and be like, oh, sorry, something came up, like my dog ate my homework. Please, I need an extension. You'll probably get the extension, but you're not better off for it. Sorry, it's going to sound so harsh now. That's a terrible habit to develop if you're a student, is missing deadlines. Because, plot twist, when you go into the real professional world, there are no extensions. You got the deadline is the deadline. So, sorry, I didn't mean that to be so intense, but it's the first thing came to mind. So that is a good habit I think I tried to build through architecture school. And there are so many tricks to mastering that. For example, having a deadline before the deadline and then working to the artificial deadline. That means that means the real deadline is your safety net. And there's a whole you could talk for an hour on about those things, but that is something treat architecture school like it's your job. The students who can treat the architecture student experience like a 9 to 5 job instead of a 24-hour 7-day a week burnout session like a lot of people do, they're the ones who go on to be the best professionals. I don't know if that's what you want to do. I don't know. Everyone's different, but they're habits that you should definitely get. But at least if you're undergrad, okay, you're learning. You'll miss deadlines. It happens. Like you skip a crit, you skip a review, you skip a jury. But by the time you're like masters, you gotta be you gotta be professional about it. So I hope that helps. I hope that's what you meant. Said sorry. Jim McGuckin, it was 100% a mad building. The urban design studio was buried in it somewhere. I can't even remember. That's the craziest thing about it. There were people who I know studied in there who I never saw. Like there were whole departments you never heard of. There were whole sections of it I'd never seen. You know what it feels like a government building. Like I don't know if anyone's ever been to the States, but it's how I'd imagine like a real deep government building would be, just full of admin staff and bureaucrats, and you don't know what department you're in, and just hallway and corridor after corridor of just office after office after room after studio. It's just such a weird place. And then they have like the giant 1-to-1. Is it 1-to-1? Maybe it's like 1-to-5 um, modular structural element from the Pompidou Centre. So I don't know if there's anyone here in the chat, but Queen's University Belfast, the engineer, world famous Peter Rice, studied engineering at Queen's University Belfast. Peter Rice was the structural engineer on the Sydney Opera House and the Pompidou Centre. So yeah, he is like one of the most famous built environment alumni from Queens. Have I got that right? If there's anyone here. So yeah, big shout out Peter Rice. Check out Peter Rice. How are we doing here? Yeah, I know the one. Gunnar Asplund. Desan, hi, just hopping in between events at home. Desan, I hope you're doing well. Ishan dropped the name. I hope the link's in there. You can see it. Peter Pasta, yeah. Good one. Where are we here? Violarit is in there. Sam, what is your hi Sam, welcome. What is your thoughts on every professors of different subjects in architecture school who gives works to students without even communicating with each other, which ends up as all submissions in one day? Sam, it's a universal problem. We used to have to deal with it too. Peter Pizza. Guys, come on. Put some respect on Peter Rice's name. The guy's a legend, but these are also sort of funny. Sam, yeah, this happened to us too. It's terrible because I'm saying here about deadlines and deadlines. Now, I can't speak for your particular situation. All of our deadlines would always fall in like the same week, but we knew that deadline was like months out in advance. So you were still expected to prepare and plan and get it all in, get it all done. I think I only ever missed one deadline by 5 minutes, and it was my very first portfolio submission when I was a first year. And I was like 5 minutes late, and they docked me like the full 5% as a penalty, and learned the hard way. And then I don't think I ever missed another one, except for the time that I was sick. I was in the hospital. That was fair enough. But sorry, Sam, like to your point, it's frustrating. I don't know what you can do. It was like this when I was a student. I'm guessing it's like this now. Got to have a word with your staff. Got to have a word with the tutors. Ellen, welcome. Hello. Welcome. Are you in Portugal? Hello from Portugal. What else we got going on here? I saw something else. There was another one. So sorry, Sam. I don't know if that helps. I guess it doesn't. It's just part of it. It's not ideal. It's the way it is. On the bright side, when you're in practice, you're only ever going to have one deadline, probably in one day. So it gets easier, maybe. Einar Gustafsson, you live in Stockholm. My hot pink boxes are on Langholmen under Vasterbron. I do live in Stockholm. Is this like a live build project? That sounds amazing. I'll check that out. I'll keep a note of that. Are you a student? Are you a practitioner? No, you're a student, right? What have I missed here? Techno. Can't read this. Techno Domu Pravlinia. Why do you say or every 2 minutes of streaming? Is it all relative and nothing certain? Do I say or? Is that something I do? I don't know. Everything's relative, and I'm not certain about anything. I'm not, but don't know. Don't know if that's helpful. Peter Pasta, Peter Pizza. Yeah, that's true, man. Yeah, sorry, Sam. It's just true. But yeah, can anyone tell me if the San Siro is being demolished or not? Maybe I can find this out now. We have been going now for 25 minutes. We're almost halfway there. People, if you're here and you're just joining, gonna grab some water, get your questions in. Let's chat. Peter Pepperoni. We're doing well here. If this is my contribution to tonight is the Peter Rice banter, then it is what it is. Danny, hello. Welcome, Danny. Zed, nearly missed a deadline today. Needed to hear that. If you can, would be willing to listen to all that you can share about time management ways. So, like, because obviously I work with Rebecca regularly. Rebecca might be the most organized architect with her time that I've ever met. And I'm a bit more chaotic. I always treat deadlines like landing a plane. And what that means is that, and I've never flown a plane, I've never landed a plane, but I hope if I ever fly a plane, I'm also able to land a plane. But what I mean by that is the destination is the destination, and how you arrive at the destination when it's me, it might be bumpy, it might be turbulent. I always arrive safely at the destination. And when I worked in practice on crazy deadlines, that was always just the way that it was. That had nothing to do with me, just the chaotic nature of them. And I think that's a good lesson for people in architecture in general who get stressed out by deadlines. You have to make a plan, you have to be organized, and then you have to be prepared for that plan to get completely destroyed by things out of your control. It's just the way that it works. So, for example, the plotter breaks, the printer breaks, the print shop's closed, your laptop breaks. You got to be prepared. That's why you got to build in contingencies. You got to have the deadline inside the deadline. Like I mentioned this already. Like these things are just relevant to everything outside of architecture, unfortunately. Like it's how you manage stress so that when you miss a deadline and when the day comes that you do miss a deadline, you can stand and you can hold your hand up and you can say it was an act of God. There was nothing else you could have done. And that's usually how I treat deadlines. Like I want to know that if something goes wrong and I end up massively messing up, there was nothing I could have done. So I don't know. It's not necessarily a tactic set or any specific advice. It's just the way I sort of treat it from a perspective point of view. But happy to keep chatting about it. Ishan, wasn't Norman Foster also doing Old Trafford? Yeah, greedy boy. He's doing all the stadiums. He loves it. Leon Sefton, welcome. Hello. Good to be back. Good to see you again, Leon. Hope you're doing well. Sorry. What am I reading here? What is this new stadium monopoly after Herzog de Meuron? Herzog do really nice stadiums, though, in my opinion. I don't think I've ever seen a bad Herzog stadium. Populous are another one. They're like the UK stadium specialists. They do all the big stadiums now as well. Sam, currently working on 4 different material method sheets now, and it's 1 p.m. here in my time. 3 completed, 1 yet to go. You can do it. Keep going. Where are you based now, Sam? 1 p.m. Is that a US time? Are you in America? Techno, why most architecture competition wins architecture companies from same country, like competitions for Finland wins Finland company for Italian. Yeah, that's a good question. I spoke about this with someone recently. I think I spoke about this last week. So a lot of people are like, why did Helsinki, the Finnish client, pick a Finnish architect and so on? You want to work with someone, I think, who understands the context, the culture, and the building standards of the country. They understand what is required to get a building through planning. However, in my experience, you would hire the best architect and then you would team them up with a local practice who can take care of that stuff. So in a way, you would split the job. But I have noticed that trend as well, where now they're just going for just the local practice, which makes me wonder why they had to have the competition. Blows my mind, but I talk about that quite a bit. But it can go either way. It's really literally up to the client, and then there's nothing you can do about it, fortunately. Petro, loved your facial acting on camera in the last episode. By the way, I'm going to write many comments with my thoughts throughout your series. Thank you, Petro. As for the facial expressions, I can't help it. I'm an animated individual, and I get really passionate about things. But it is not acting. It is not acting. It's just my face. It's the way it is. Elon, in the Foster's plan, the San Siro was apparently going to be demolished. Yeah. It's a shame, isn't it? That is a shame. I don't know. Am I giving them the benefit of the doubt, though, by saying that if they're going to demolish it, they must have had to demolish it? Like there was nothing they could do? Maybe? I don't know. Mark, I had a deadline yesterday. I think you saw my story 40 minutes ago and I didn't miss it, but I wasn't able to finish some floor plans and axonometrics I worked on for 2 weeks. Yeah, well, I mean, that's another thing, right? So, for example, I can't speak for everyone. I was a kind of student who I always had more work than was necessary. It was never that I didn't have enough work, but I would make sure that the critical requirements were always done first. So I know if like the tutor said to me, hey, I need to see a model next week, and I just wanted to make drawings, I would make the model first. Then the model's banked. Then I would just do the drawings, the fun stuff that I wanted to do to complement it. So again, like this is probably what you've done, but you just got to prioritize. There is not enough time in 1 week to do everything that you want to do. It's never possible. There's also not enough time in 1 semester to do everything you want to do. There's definitely not enough time in 1 career to do everything you want to do. You got to prioritize. That's it. It's the harsh truth, but that's what you have to do. And I hate that because all I ever want to do is just keep working on things. What else have we got here? Techno, any books to suggest for garden planning with plants and flowers? Nothing that comes to mind. Chat, can anyone help with that one? Any good books? Any good books for any good books to suggest for garden planning with plants and flowers, like landscape? I'm guessing landscape design. Mark, genuinely, that's the backbone of architecture, managing time. Yeah, it's true. Like at the end of the day, I don't. No one really cares how creative you are if you're a genius if you're missing deadlines. Like it's just super unprofessional, and it's a good skill to develop the younger you are. Um, yeah, it's the sad truth. Sam, oh, you're from India. Greetings, welcome, India. So it's 1 o'clock in India. Well, good luck with the material study. Good luck, and sorry to hear about all the deadlines coming together on the same day, but it happens. It's normal. I'm a student second year and nothing's actually being built there. But since I'm still pretty new to architecture school, when do you recommend finishing iterating on the project and start drawing plans? That's a good question. See, in my experience, right, I never stop iterating. So that's not very professional, probably. But maybe that's more to do with the practices that I've worked in, where the iterations just never stop. The design never freezes, even when it's on site. It's still going, 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 going. And it's really stressful. But as a student, I don't think, I mean, I remember I would go to, so let's say a semester is 12 weeks long and the final review is in week 12, and you show up with your drawings in week 11. I've never had the experience where the professor is like, yeah, lock them in, spend a week just drawing up the project. It's always like another design iteration. So I always found in my experience that I was always designing right up. And then see, and I know this isn't for everyone, okay? So be very careful with how you understand what I'm about to say. I never finished my designs. The designs never finished, especially in architecture school. And I think it's okay to accept that. Sometimes the best projects are the ones that are most finished. Because I think the most boring thing I ever see amongst architecture students is just a finished design that looks super boring. I don't know. So it's tough. Like iteration is good as long as you're moving vertically and you're not moving laterally. If you're just spinning in circles, like this week it's a square, next week it's a circle, last week it was a house, next week it's a gallery, you're in for a bad time. It's only going to end badly. And I think it's like you just got to prioritize what's important to you. But I think if you're building as a museum in week 1, it was a museum in week 12, and you're playing with different material samples in week 12. Like I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Now I can see here, I'm going to get to the comment. Montu Studio is teacher, so that's fine. They may have some. They have their own thoughts on that, and that's good. I'm going to get down to it in a minute. I'm just trying to get through all these comments here so I don't skip any. How are we doing here? Have I missed one? Okay, so sorry, your question was when do you recommend finishing? I never really do, but you gotta finish the project. That doesn't mean the project has to be complete. Like it doesn't have to be drawn up to the highest technical standard, but you gotta complete the exploration. Whatever the thesis is, whatever the study is, that has to be finished. I know that's vague. I can talk more about it. I'm just trying to I want everyone's question to be read. Techno. Sorry, I'm just gonna have a sip of water here. Techno says, should the architecture company keep the name of Death Architect like Zaha? Can they do same philosophy architecture, or is it just trying of Zaha's mind copy? I have a very strong opinion on that. Look, I joke about Patrick Schumacher. Anyone who follows me on Instagram knows that I had a bit of fun with his YouTube channel this week. I don't know if he's a good architect or a bad architect, but he's a successful architect, right? Now, in my opinion, the fact that they kept Zaha's name says to me that Zaha, the brand, was valuable. So they continued practicing under that name. Me personally, I would have seen that as an opportunity to rebrand the studio because Zaha was the working hand of that studio. It was her talent, in my opinion. And I don't understand the logistics of it, but if you compare it to something like OMA, where Rem Koolhaas clearly has a succession plan in order, he has proteges. He has a team of people. Like, you don't look at buildings necessarily and think that's Rem Koolhaas. You look at buildings and think that's ONA. I think the right move for Zaha would have been to rebrand entirely. But I don't know what the legalities were of that. But I do think, I don't know, practicing off the old name's a bit weird to me. But I don't know what the machinations were of that organization when they made that decision. But I do just think, like, I'd be curious to see what Patrick Schumacher would do, because I know he runs Zaha now. Like, what would he do with his practice? And because the Zaha style is problematic in a lot of ways, isn't it? I don't know if anyone else agrees with that. I don't know if that's helpful. But happy to keep talking about it. What else have we got in here? I feel plans should be also iterations. Oh, sorry, I skipped one here. Oh, sorry, I'm losing track of the chat here tonight. Apologies about that. Ainer says, yesterday I spent the whole day stressing out about renders and drawings, like doing them by hand, got 5 hours of sleep and butchered the presentation. But how did you butcher the presentation? Do you know what I mean? Like, I know, like, I'm sorry that you only got 5 hours of sleep, but like, that sounds like you had a lot of work. Ishan, do you think there will be Starchitects again who define a whole new paradigm again? Because everything now is firm/office based. Maybe. I love saying something really ridiculous every week and then just changing my mind about it next week. I think AI is going to kill a lot of stuff. I think AI is going to propel a lot of people into thinking they've got the Starchitect thing down, when in reality, there's going to be like just hundreds of people doing the same stuff. I think originality is going to be premium. Craft is going to be premium, but it's also going to be mega expensive. So I don't know if we're going to see Starchitects again. But I say this, I sort of hope we do. I'm not a hater. It's just, I don't know. We're in a really strange place right now with architecture. I don't have the answer to that one. I think you're going to see a lot of people who just leave architecture entirely. The profession doesn't feel very sustainable at the minute. I can only talk about that from a UK-centric position, obviously. But I don't know. I do wonder. Techno again. Am I a less good architect if I don't hand drawing and just doing all on PC? Nope, not at all. I have no idea, Techno, if that might be a response to the sort of controversial Instagram post I made a long time ago. I don't think you're a less architect if you don't do hand drawing and you only do PC. But I do think that you're going to have a problem if you're entirely reliant on a mechanical tool for you to design buildings. That doesn't mean then that you should learn how to do it by hand, but it really comes down to, can you communicate without technology? That's sort of my question. That's the provocation. If you can only communicate with technology, then maybe you're not a great communicator. That's not directed at you personally, Techno. That's just sort of what I say to people who challenge that point. The point being that if you can't design without a computer, maybe you're not a good designer. But design means different things to different people. So that's another whole conversation. Raul Akash. Hi, Cal Cromley. I'm a 15-year-old that is in love with architecture since I was 8. I do a lot of architectural drawings, 3D modeling, scaled models, and wanted your advice for what I should do. Raul, very nice to meet you. Thanks for joining the chat. That sounds amazing if you're like 15 and you're into it. Do you want to be an architect is my question. Is architecture something that you want to do? Clearly, you love architecture. You love drawing. You love making 3D models. You're showing great initiative. You're into it. Like, you're in this chat. Like, if you're in this chat, you're an architecture nerd, in my opinion. You're a big architecture geek. There's nothing wrong with that. So you're in good company. But Raul, my question is, like, what do you want to do though? Do you want to be an architect? Because that's where my advice is going to come into it. But if you're showing a passion and an interest for it now, do it. Do it. You'll love it. You'll have a great time. I say this all the time. I say this all the time for people who, if I am not communicating clearly, I say this all the time. I wouldn't tell anyone not to study architecture. Studying architecture is one of the best things you can do if you're interested in architecture. I loved every second of studying architecture. What I have a problem with is people who leave architecture school and then feel like they're obliged to become an architect. They're not necessarily the same thing. It's a little bit more complicated than that. So a lot of people say at 18, oh, you want to be an architect, when you really just wanted to be an architecture student. And a lot of people realize what being an architect is. you either love it or you realize that it's not for you, and that's okay as well. I think it's a complicated thing. It's such a broad subject, and because you start studying so young, and then it's almost like a decade before the time you're ready to qualify, you're a different person. So it's a bit ridiculous, I think. And Raul, sorry, this isn't directed at you. I'm just going off on a tangent here. But it is a bit ridiculous that if you say at 18 that you want to be an architect, you don't have to be an architect at 28 because 18-year-old you wanted to do it and you put all this time in. That's not necessarily the way it has to be. There's a real, like, I have so much respect for people who just go do something completely different after they leave architecture school. I think it's really impressive when people show the confidence to do that. So yeah, Raul, give me some more context. What specifically would you like advice about? Because it sounds to me like you're primed for architecture school. And if that's what you want to do, you do it. Go for it. Absolutely go for it. Maybe someone in the chat has some better advice, though. Aishan, when are you dropping Procreate tutorials? Uh, I've been thinking about this. I have to be pretty tidy with the YouTube channel at the minute because I'm trying to learn how YouTube works. And I know the people who subscribe to me want one thing from me, and maybe you can all say otherwise. You all want reviews. You want critical analysis in my style of architecture and things. And sometimes I can mix it with video game analysis, and that works really well as well. But anytime on this channel I've tried to do anything different, the video bombs because it means that y'all aren't that interested in it, which is okay. But I need my subscribers to guide me, and you all guide me well. But what I'm getting at, Ishan, is I want to do Procreate tutorial content, but I don't know if it'll be on YouTube because I just don't think it does very well on my channel. And also, I always say this, I can show people how to draw the way I draw. That might not be the right way to draw. And I say that as someone who literally taught students how to draw in architecture school. I'm not ruling it out. Maybe soon. I want to do it. Sorry, people, catching up here. A lot going on in the chat tonight. We're at 20 people, guys. This is one of the best chat streams that we've done. So if you're new, welcome. I said I would do this for an hour. I'm going to go for an extra 30 minutes because there's so much to get through still, and I'm having a good time. And just another reminder, okay? All I ask for all of this wisdom that I'm bestowing upon all of you, all I ask in return, if you haven't already, just sub to the channel. Just a little sub. Just click the sub button. It's down there. Much appreciated. Thank you. So where are we now in the questions? Yeah, so Procreate tutorials, Eshan, maybe soon. I want to do it, but the algorithm is what the algorithm is. Montu Studio, I teach. You're always being graded on your choices with the assumption that you don't have enough time. The goal is that you can begin to develop a repeatable workflow. Can you talk more about that? Is that more that you want your students to get like a personal workflow, like something that works for them? Because that reminds me a little bit about how we studied. But that's really interesting. Einar, that's very true. But what about physical models and stuff like that? I think that's a response to Ishan. Sam, thanks, man. I've worked once for 2 competitions together and I've won one and got shortlisted on another. Congratulations. But the difference between school and competition is I didn't feel pressure in competition. Yeah, that's sort of what happens. Because you do the competition for you, right? Whereas in school, you're sort of working for your professor. And that's why competitions can be fun when you're a student. And I don't know if you're specifically talking about our competition that you entered, but I found that when Rebecca and I are reviewing the competition entries in our bridge competition, the energy is just there that you can tell people really enjoyed and had fun doing it, and they really engaged with the spirit of the competition. Whereas sometimes it can look like it was a slog and people didn't want to do it and they were doing it against their will. And I think that makes terrible work, in my opinion. There has to be fun and joy in it. But congratulations, Sam. 1 second, throat's dry, all this talking. Leon Sefton, I think you're responding to Einar, so I'm going to leave that one for now. Eshon, when you're done with the questions, it'd be great if you get back on the talk about finishing a project, like how should students present and defend projects that are more conceptual, not realistic. I will try to get back onto that one. I just want to make sure everybody gets their question read. But thanks. I will get back to that one. Einar says, I feel like I have this idealization that everything has to be perfect. I'm going to read the rest of your question, okay? But I'm going to stop there. It will never be perfect. I've never met an architect who can do a perfect drawing. I don't even like that word. I try to not even use it. But that is like the number one pitfall from students. Oh, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's never good enough. It's never good enough. I've worked for some of the most crazy architecture practices, and their work, in their opinion, isn't good enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one likes their own work until sometimes they look at it a couple of weeks later and then they really like their own work. I share my work. Well, I used to. I don't do it as much anymore. I used to share so much of my work on all these platforms. And it wasn't because I thought they were perfect. It was because the work is good if the work is strong enough to elicit a reaction from someone else. In other words, can you get a comment? Can you get a DM? Can you get someone to reach out and be like, tell me more about this drawing? What's going on? How did you make it? That's it. That's it. In architecture school, that's it. Obviously, drawings in the real world, they need to be drawn so that builders can build from them. It's different. But even those drawings aren't perfect. Even those drawings aren't perfect. I've worked on some pretty prestigious buildings on site, and even those drawings aren't perfect. The builders, the contractors want to do revisions of them. They ask for more information. They want to make notes on the drawing, all of it. It's never perfect. It's never perfect. Sorry, going off on a tangent there, but just do not be worrying about it. You'll never be 100% happy with the project, and you'll never be 100% happy with the presentation. So if you just accept that now, you're gonna do great. And that goes for everyone. And does anyone disagree? Does anyone disagree with that? I think that's good advice. It's never going to be perfect. Guys, name your favorite building. I will find your favorite building now, and I'm going to pick problems in it. Even masterpieces are not perfect. There are flaws in everything, and that's what makes them great. And that's why AI will never replace architects, because AI strives for perfection. And that's boring. Perfection is boring, in my opinion. Sorry, you really struck a nerve there, Einar. I really went off on one, but I hope that's helpful. Yeah, look, right below it, next comment. Einar, perfectionism will only kill your creativity, although it is personal. It is personal, obviously. Never met a perfect architect. Petro says architecture is a state of the soul. You can live it even without constant practice. In Ukraine, there are 5 major firms still working, but honestly, it's kind of stagnation. That's a good point, Petro. I say this all the time. I joke. I retire from architecture every day, and then all I ever end up doing is talking about architecture. And I don't practice traditionally. Like, I don't sit 9 to 5 in an office working on projects, but I'm an architect. Like, I am. I mean, it's dramatic, but it is something that's just in you. You just love. You think about it. Techno, about your post of freelancer, I think it's good to have normal work 8 by 5 and doing architecture on weekend, because there is no enough money to realize your architecture. So basically, it's become a hobby. That's what I think. I think architecture is going to become a hobby for very wealthy people, and that's it. But I don't want to be too down on it. Raul, you're here in the chat. You're a young guy, 15. I mean, I don't want to put you off. So do it. You'll be fine. Leon, that's another response. But again, you're on the same point, Leon. Nothing is ever perfect. Even the greatest, most up-to-date buildings become outdated and flawed with time. Focus on the little things, and the entirety of your work will benefit. A professor once said this to me. I don't care if your work is the best. I care if the work is the best that you can do now. That's all it ever was. So I used to look at it when I was a student like a graph. I don't mean to sound mean here, okay? From first year to the last year, the graph better be going up. Because if the graph's not going up, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. In other words, you're supposed to be getting better. Don't worry about the work getting better necessarily. Are you improving? And the best students who go on to make the best architects, straight up all the time. It's a graph. It's like it's like training, do your reps. 1 week after the next week, it's never perfect. Never. And that's I'll stop going off about it now. We are over an hour now on the chat. I am having a great time. How are we doing, people? I said I was going to go for another 30 minutes, so still keep the chat going. Sorry, I'm getting through these so slowly tonight, but I appreciate everybody jumping on. Thank you very much. Where have we got next? Raha, also, what is a concept for you? I've read a lot. I think that's a response to another question. Sorry, maybe that is a specific one to me. Raul, I for sure want to be an architect, no doubt. Like I said, since I was 8, I understand the current situation of architecture, but I don't really care as long as I can practice and design. Then go for it. Absolutely go for it. Don't let anything stop you. I support your decision. It sounds like you're really into it. I bet you'll do great at it. You're probably more into architecture now at 15 than I was at 15. What was I doing at 15? At 15, I was going to be a musician. Yeah, didn't really happen for me. But musician's a much less realistic professional path than architect role, so go for it. It's also community Montage Studio. I can't remember what that was in response to. Leon, in my view, a concept is the glue that holds your project together. It's like a theme in a book. If you can easily link all your ideas in a project back to the concept, then it's strong. I like that. I like that comment, Leon. I talk a lot about concept and big ideas. I also think some of the best architecture doesn't have to have it at all. You know, like I also love the position of why can't it just be a good building? There are some just great buildings. They don't have all the bow and the ribbon and the glitter on it. The conceptualization, the intellectualization of theory and all of that. It's just like just just a beautiful window. Sometimes that's okay as well. But I hear what you're saying. I also love the big ideas too, the big moves. So I get what you're saying. It's good advice. How are we doing here? Ratio. And I think that's a message. Zed, thoughts on ADHD and architects slash students? Um, I think most architecture students have some form of attention issues. No, I don't think I've ever met one who's completely 100% sane. I don't know. Like, I'm clearly very energetic, but maybe that's like 15 years of just sort of talking about architecture and stuff. Not so sure if there's a specific question there, Zed, but yeah, I don't know. I don't quite know how to answer that. Ishan says, "What if ADHD was like a weapon because you just notice everything?" I mean, yeah, but I think that's what happens in architecture school, right? Like, you don't notice the street that you grew up in until you go to architecture school, and all of a sudden you notice all these buildings that were always there. Like, your perception of the built environment completely changes. I think that's like some of the magic of architecture school. It's why I recommend so many people do it, even if they don't want to be an architect. It teaches you how to see, trains your eye, even if it's not training your hand. That's okay. Not everyone has it in them to train the hand. And I don't mean that as they don't have talent. I just mean some people just don't like drawing. Some people just don't like making. Some people love writing. Some people like talking. And architecture school improves all of those skills, in my opinion. Leon, the Barbican. I'm not sure what that's in relation to. What was these? What have I missed something here? Burrell Gallery, John McCaslin. That's a beautiful building. I'm trying to see here. Leon, yeah, I struggle with it too. Concept can be derived from context as well as historic context. Concept's just a big broad. I mean, it's just another word for idea, right? What's the idea? And sometimes you can't explain what the idea is. Like I know it sounds ridiculous. Sometimes it just comes to you in a dream. Sometimes you just draw what the first thing you draw. Sometimes you think you're drawing a square, but you're actually drawing a circle, and it becomes an entire project about circles and curves. Does that make it a concept? Like that? I don't know. All I'm saying, right, is that I mean I don't teach, but I don't think I would ever make it mandatory that a student has to bring a concept to me. Like I think it's a simplistic way. I think it can be a simplistic way of categorizing architecture. Oh, like, but what is the concept? Therefore, I will use that concept then as a lens in which I will only exclusively assess your architecture through. Whereas sometimes it's fun to try and work out what the concept is, you know? Oh, clearly this person's interested in circulation. This person's interested in intersecting volumes. This person's interested in, verticality, section. Like, and then you can just sort of, I don't know. I'm going off a bit on it. It's a complex conversation, and this might not be the place to have it, or maybe it is the place to have it. I don't know, but I don't think there's many more questions here. I think we're just all chatting, aren't we? Let me see how we're doing here. Raul, did you mention to me on a YouTube comment this week that you DM'd me on Instagram? Because that's something I want to talk about here as well. I know some of you have DM'd me on Instagram. I don't see a lot of them. They go straight to like a private inbox. So I'm gonna have to check it out. I'm not ignoring you, okay? If anyone's done that. Um if you've been on this show, then you know that I love talking. So I wouldn't ignore you. Um Sorry, I will get back to that message, Raul. What am I looking at here? Have I skipped something? Yeah, Leon, you're right. Concept can also be personal. What do you want to see more of in the world? That's usually how I look at it. Is it better with your project in it? The world's better with your project in it, and that's a good enough reason to do it. Where are we here? Einar, I'm really interested that you live in Stockholm. Which firm do you work for? Also, what's your view on iPads? I do not work for a firm. I work for myself. When I moved to Stockholm about 4 years ago, I worked at White, and I was at White for a while, and they were awesome. Really cool practice. I don't know if you know any of their stuff. I mean, if you live in Sweden, you'll know their stuff. But no, I just wanted to try other things. So I worked in a film studio for about 2 years, learning animation and VFX and CGI. And then I started selling architectural CGI services to clients as on freelance. And then I used that to sort of build a platform on the internet. And now I'm here talking to you guys. So now I'm basically a freelance architect. I just do lots of stuff. Whatever pays, whatever pays the bills, I do. But I don't practice in an office. I'm just not that interested in doing it anymore. But that's a whole other conversation. What are my views on iPad? I have an iPad. I draw on an iPad. I use it every single day. I don't use sketchbooks anymore. So my comment earlier about if you can't design without the tech, then maybe you shouldn't be designing it. Well, I mean, like I don't need the iPad to communicate necessarily, but I love it. Love the iPad. Love Procreate. Absolutely swear by it. Drawing it every single day. Love it. Just keeping an eye on the time here. Where we on the? Why do I keep losing the chat? There was the thing about the iPad here. Thanks, people, for chatting amongst yourselves. Okay. Sorry, Elon. I see that now about the Barbican. Rayo, could you give me any advice on what I can do now to get ahead in architecture? And would it be possible for you to review my architecture portfolio? I can review your architecture portfolio. If you've already DM'd me, I will review it. In terms of advice for right now, just enjoy architecture, okay? Don't go too hard. Like, if you're into rendering in 3D, that's great, right? That's amazing. But I don't know if anyone here in the chat thinks otherwise. But it's very likely, Raul, that you'll go to university and then they'll just ban the computer for the first year because they're going to teach you tangible ways of communicating, like model making, sketching, technical drawing. Rebecca's teaching at UCD in Dublin right now, and she has told me that they're not allowed to use the computer at all for the first 3 years, or at least they weren't. So what I'm saying is, Raul, if I were you, I would just read some books. I would visit buildings. I don't know what your financial situation's like. You're 15, but travel if you can. Go see some places. Keep a journal. Develop that curiosity. That's what I would do. That's what I wish I had done when I was 15. I went into architecture school 19. At 19, completely blind. I had no idea what I was in for. And I survived. But if I could have gone back, that's what I would have done. So I hope that is interesting. I hope that's useful, Raul. And like I said, I will have a look at your portfolio. Ishan, I think the word concept should be taken away from architecture. It should be the design idea or the design philosophy because concept is too narrow. Yeah, I think that's the way I look at it. Like, I think concept is like a shiny bow that you're applying onto a project. Now, I use the word all the time. I say it like, because it's an easy way to put things in their own box. Does that make sense? But I think you're right. It's like, what is the philosophy? What is the ambition? What is this individual trying to do with the architecture and the design? Maybe that includes concept, but it doesn't have to necessarily. One second. FIFA Dabber, for me, a concept is only as good as how much you can lie about how good it is and how it can work. See, a concept too can be a get out of jail free card as well. Some people will apply the concept retroactively. They will have designed something and then they'll think, this kind of looks like a giant rock. And it's funny because this building is actually on this mountain landscape. Maybe the concept then is that the building is sort of referencing the landscape. Oh, okay. The concept is, I don't know. Sorry, 1 second. I'll be back. Oh, I'm back. Sorry about that. Does that make sense though? What I'm saying about context, that you can retroactively place the concept on it after you've done it, and that's just redundant. What's the point? Sorry. So, boy, we're talking a lot about concepts tonight, aren't we? What am I looking at now in the chat? Raha, what do you think of liminal spaces and how they are stripped out of people? I like the nostalgic feeling of them, but they seem impossible to achieve because architecture is for people. When you say impossible to achieve, do you mean impossible to design them? Or like, are you suggesting that a liminal space is a consequence of someone already using the space rather than being made for people? Am I understanding that correctly? I love liminal spaces. I find them super creepy, but really interesting. King Luca, welcome. It's funny how the moment you step onto a skateboard, your city transforms in front of your eyes. Stairs are for walking up. Sure, buddy. Yeah, I mean, that's a good idea. There was a student I knew once, and she was able-bodied, and she wrote a dissertation on how the city that she lived in was not designed for people in wheelchairs. And she proved this by spending a week in a wheelchair trying to navigate through the city. And I think her dissertation was like this award-winning dissertation. I remember reading it when I was a student, and I remember thinking, what an interesting way of analyzing a city in that context. So, what you're saying about navigating a city on a skateboard, Lucas, I'm thinking, yeah, it reminds me of this student who studied a city by trying to navigate it in a wheelchair. So, for example, just how unfriendly it was to people with physical disabilities. So you're right. Like, there's a million different ways to experience architecture, and your eyes are trained based on your experience. Um, Skatable cities better than vehicular cities. I agree, Eshan. Um, what is King Welcome says, what is the design process like for you? Your approach to design, different every time. Depends on the brief, depends on the context, depends if I'm working for someone, if I'm working with someone. I am a bit of a mercenary, I think. I'll just kind of do what I need to do. I know what I like and I know what I don't like. But then there's like, if a billionaire client was like, hey, can you design a house for me? Do what you want. There's an approach I would have for that. But then if there's like a family member who's not a billionaire, is like, hey, could you do a house for us? But we're on a strict budget. Like, they're obviously two different houses, but they're obviously two different ways of working as well. I sketch everything. I draw over and over and over and over again before I'll go to a 3D model. But that's just me. Some people like to go straight to the 3D model. Some people like to go straight to the physical model. And some people just like to write. Sometimes people write design through writing. They'll write like a poem or a story, and it'll give them inspiration to sort of craft spaces and a concept and an idea. Um, I do it differently depending on every brief. But I like to start with pen or pencil or paper or iPad. So drawing is how I unlock everything, and then eventually you can't draw anymore, and then you need to get it into 3D. Then it's time to make models, 3D models, digital models, physical models, and then you start cooking the models with the drawings at the same time, and all of a sudden you're spinning both plates at once, and then you're cooking. Then you've got the design going, and then it's just magic as far as I'm concerned, because then the design could be anything. And then what I like to do is share that with someone and get their feedback, because sometimes no one can see a design clearer than someone who's watching you design. That's why it's important to have collaborators. And the worst thing I think you can do as a designer or an architect is to work in a bubble and in isolation and to reject all external input, because no one is a genius. Like, no one can get away with that. So I don't know if that helps. That's how I would try to approach it. Maybe that's too much information, maybe. Um, Elon, a portfolio review stream could be cool. What, for reviewing people's portfolios on here live? Is that what you're saying, Elon? Ishan, do you even need plans and sections to present a design, if not for construction details? If you have, okay, wait a second, let me understand that. Do you even need plans and sections to present a design, if not for construction details, if you have 3Ds and renders? So, Ishan, it depends who you're presenting to, but ultimately, in my opinion, you can learn everything you need to learn about the quality of a design through a plan and a section. In my opinion, those two drawings are absolutely critical. Everything else is just spice and flavor. You know, you're just making the project more sexy with all the renders and everything. So for me, if you're just trying to communicate, because I used to have this vision, right? I used to have this amazing vision. If I ever had an architecture studio or was teaching architects, I would love to have a design assignment where every student has the same brief and they all have to use the exact same drawing template to communicate their design. So everyone has the same line weight, same style of drawing. That's it, which means the quality of the space and the way in which the spaces have been designed need to speak for themselves. So your project isn't communicating with another person's project. They're not competing because you know how to use fancy Photoshop renders and they don't. Because that's misleading, isn't it? That's not what the space will be. So a good 1 to 50 section and plan, that's sort of it for me. Um, but then clients don't necessarily read orthographic drawings, do they? And we have to be careful about that. So that's where the renders and 3D models can come into it. And VR headsets. We had a big conversation about VR last week. I don't know. That's what I think. So I think they're critical to communicating a design, in my opinion. Um, what am I looking at here? Ishan says, "Hi, Elon. Love your content too." Yeah, Elon. Check out Elon. Elon is making his own content at the moment too. I mean, yeah, Elon. Check out Elon. Am I reading that right? Yeah. Shout out a collab stream. Elon, you don't do streams, do you? And our portfolio review would be great. I don't know how to manage the portfolio reviews because Rebecca and I used to do portfolio reviews on the Future Blueprint. You end up spending way more time on them, and they're not as, I don't know, maybe. I don't know. Do you guys think 'cause this is like week 4 now of doing the Crumbcast, and I love doing it, it's great. Like there's so many of you here and it's amazing, and like I'm having a good time. But is this format like not enough? Do you want to see different things? Because when you change it up, then you just sort of lose momentum. And I just think the portfolio review sounds nice when I'm talking about your portfolio, but do you guys want to see other people's portfolios? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about it. Um, Maybe I do need to get some screen sharing capabilities on here though, so I can at least show references that I'm talking about. Because maybe we could do themed streams. Like maybe we can do ones about specific issues and topics. Maybe we could just scroll on Pinterest and look at drawings. That could be cool. What am I looking at here now? Raha says, I mean, liminal spaces need to be stripped out of people to apply the notion of a frozen moment in time. So they are easy and simple to design, but the idea of having no people goes against architecture. I don't think that's what I understand liminal to be, though. What do you think? Do you think liminal is like an abandoned space? To me, liminal is an in-between space, a space that actually hasn't been designed, but that is the consequence of that lack of design. Like, for example, corridors that connect service halls in the back of airports to me are liminal spaces. They're not rooms, but they're not quite corridors. They're sort of in between, and they have this really weird atmosphere to them. And that's why they're synonymous with horror as a genre. Sorry, Ray, you say one thing and I just say another thing. I've done that twice now. By Charlie Eaton. I've recently been offered an interview from an established, medium-sized firm for a very junior role, as I'm on a gap year before studying architecture. Do you have any advice for the interview? So you haven't studied architecture yet. You're on a gap year before studying. Um, do I have any advice? Try to get paid. If they can't pay you, do it for like a week. Because because if you can afford to do it, just do it. Get the experience. But working in an office now before studying architecture isn't really going to prepare you for architecture school because, as some people here in the chat might know, they're completely different things. Completely different. Um, so in a way, I almost wouldn't contaminate your experience with architecture school by going to an office first. But some people love working in an office. So this is what I think, Charlie. If you can get, if they'll pay you to do it and they're offering you like a curriculum in which you can learn for a little bit there, go for it, do it. Advice for the interview though, I don't know because I've never actually interviewed as for like an internship before being in uni. But I bet it's pretty chill, and I bet you'll do okay. And you know what? You're making contacts and connections, and you're building a network even at a young age. It's worth it. Like, do it. Your network is everything in architecture. Um, what am I looking at here? Guys, I'm gonna go. We've got 20 minutes left on the stream, but there are like 20 people in here at the minute, and we're really doing well tonight. Keep me honest if I skip over a question, people. Sorry. Einar says about finding perfection in presentation. Remember seeing actual napkin sketches in one of your videos about Helsinki. Have you thought about how polished drawings, renders need to be to convey an idea? Everything should convey an idea. Everything. That's why I love those napkin sketches. And I think if I recall that Helsinki entry that used the napkin sketches, I was really impressed and charmed initially by the napkin sketch until I realized that they weren't telling me anything beyond the initial sketch. And then I was really disappointed because I realized that they were just saying the same thing across 5 images. And what I'm saying to you, I guess, is, and what I'm saying to everyone, if you're making a 3D model, understand what you're trying to say with the 3D model. Don't just make a 3D model. If you're making a drawing, what are you trying to say with the drawing? Because no one piece of work says everything. Very few drawings are that complete. That, like the everything drawing, that's overwhelming. No one wants that. So, is your drawing, understand why you're making what you're making before you make it. If you're discovering what the thing is trying to say as you're making it, you're likely just wasting time. That's how I would prioritize what to make and when to make it. So, sorry, I'm just double checking I've sort of engaged with that question. How polished drawings, renders need to convey an idea. Everything, though, should convey an idea. Elon, I have streamed before, but not recently. I used to make awful gaming videos when I was 15. Elon, I make awful gaming videos now, and I'm 34. So I bet yours were better than mine. Ishan, I think we all want to see architecture in the live stream with you talking. So like looking at projects. Is that what maybe we're thinking about? Maybe I could prepare better for these and have like themes to them. Maybe. The problem is that the stream like this now is so open and broad that we're talking about lots of stuff. But we'll workshop it, okay? Because I'm gonna do this every week, at least for the rest of the year. Where are we? I loved that singular napkin entry, saucy sketches. They were amazing sketches, but sadly they just stopped telling me things. Sorry. It is true they are in between spaces, but certain building categories apply, like metro stations, airports, hotels, which are, oh yeah, I understand what you mean. I love it though. I love them. Ishan, I talked about 3D and renders because you talked about something like all we need is Yum sketches in one of your bridge entry reviews. Though, but there are so many like incredibly beautiful, well detailed 3D renders that I've seen in my career that say nothing. You gotta have something to say. That's what I think. You gotta have something to say in each image and every drawing. Not gonna lie, that cup of water looks very refreshing. It is. My throat's so dry. I think it's just the season, time of the year. Where are we here? What Zed says, what's an underrated way to learn how to design good architecture? Reference. Just reference. That's it. Study good architecture, you'll make good architecture. Like, understand what makes a building successful. Visit if you can, study online if you can, learn how to draw them, draw over them, trace them, study them, diagram them. If you can see what makes the great buildings great, then you have the opportunity to design yourself, then you will reference that in your work. Like, it's naturally going to happen. So in my opinion and in my experience, the very best students understood how what made the very best architecture the best architecture. They had this encyclopedia library of reference that they drew from. Some were incredibly obscure, some were incredibly obvious. But if you're going to reference falling water in every project you do for your entire career, you're not going to make much more than a knockoff falling water, right? So that's what I think is underrated. So what do I mean? Read books, read journals, watch documentaries, engage with architecture, the culture of it, and enjoy it. Because that's the thing. That's the fun side of architecture, is visiting buildings and looking at stuff, like looking, studying, taking photos of buildings is another way of training your eye. And then when you go to design, you'll be thinking, "Oh, I remember the time I saw that townhouse that was a little bit weird and had that weird kink in it that opened up this portico that went onto a stair." And you're like, "That was really cool. How did that work?" And then let's try and do something like that over here. And then all of a sudden, your design's more interesting than everyone else's. So reference. That's what I think. How are we doing? Charlie, thanks for the advice. My main plan was to network and become more familiar within the profession. The firm said they were impressed with my portfolio from a level of work. They offered me an interview. Yeah, like that's an amazing sign. So you're going to the interview, obvious, like well done. You go to the interview, just see what they're willing to offer you. They might be like an unpaid internship for a week or two. If you can afford to do it, do it. You probably get a bit of experience from it. Maybe they will pay you. That'll be great. But don't take it too seriously, I guess, because it's just going to be like an internship, right? So it's up to you. But that's good. So well done on the interview and good luck. Good luck in the interview. Tijin says, I am a second year student in Germany. I have to design a vertical museum for the history of the city of Hamburg. What is your favorite tower like museum? Controversial. I don't think museums work well as towers. I don't think museums are supposed to work vertically, in my opinion. They work much better laterally on a horizontal plane. If you think of most of the great museums, they're all designed that way, with the exception of, and this is a controversial take, the Guggenheim in New York is a vertical museum, but I don't know how well that works as a museum. Maybe some of you disagree. There is also, yeah, Guggenheim, Eschen, straight down there. It's the first one that comes to mind. There are some other projects that come to mind, but personally, let me read your comment again. I have to design a vertical museum. So that's the requirement. It has to be vertical. So then, I don't know. I would be circulation is going to be the killer because circulation is going to be critical. And I suppose the Guggenheim does have. Yeah, see, this is the thing, Leon. I am thinking about that too. I love Tate Modern. I think that extension's terrible because it's vertical. Because the circulation in it is just horrendous, in my opinion. Have you ever been on a busy day and you're just stuck pressing the lift buttons, waiting to go up? Ding, 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 ding. And what's the alternative? The giant concrete staircase? Like, it's just not a great experience. Even though it's a beautiful object, like piece of architecture, who am I to criticize the great Herzog and de Meuron? But I don't know. I don't know. It's a tough one. I don't think I have a favorite vertical museum, and I don't know if that helps you. I'm really sorry. Maybe the chat can give some better references in there. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. Make people walk on the walls parallel to the floor. Um, yeah, it's a tricky one. Eshan says, you think I could possibly submit a design as an essay or a research paper and become meta? I mean, I think that's what a PhD ultimately is, even though there's not a lot of design work in PhDs. Guys, we've been going here for 90 minutes. There are 20 people in the chat. There are 10 minutes left of the stream. This is your last chance to get some questions in. And a reminder, if you haven't subbed to the channel yet, now is the time to do it. I love doing this, and I love that you guys are here and we're having fun. But yeah, throw a little click the sub button for me wherever it is if you can see it. I would much appreciate it. And get your final questions in for the last 10 minutes as we discuss vertical museums. Guys, we must have some better references. Ishan says, fuck the standards. Yeah, I tried saying that in practice once and it didn't go down well. Timothy, hello. Any advice for part one? I've just got out of architecture school and been trying to find a job for a while now. You know, from what I'm hearing, it's tough out there to get a part one gig. Is that right? Are people struggling with part one opportunities at the minute? Part one was the most difficult experience I ever had trying to get a job. My advice, be patient. Be patient and do other things. And the opportunity might arrive when you're not actually expecting it. Your career is long. There's this obsession with architecture students that as soon as they graduate, they need to have the dream job. That's just not true. Your dream job. So your career's long. Be patient. Work on your CV. Sorry. Work on your CV and your portfolio when you get time. Update it. Always keep it up to date. Look for opportunities. Network. Reach out to people who are working in places that you want to work at. Curate your CV and your portfolio for those jobs if that's what you want to do. Sometimes the answer is you have to be prepared to relocate. I don't know if that's possible for you. These are all things I tried to do. It took me 4 months to get my first part one job, and then that was like an unpaid internship. And then it took me like another 4 months to get my first real big boy job. And then I did that for about over a year. And it's tough. It is tough. So I'm just trying to keep the thread here with you, Timothy. Kind of feels hard to feel hopeful with so much ghosting and lack of replies. Part of the profession. Sorry to break it to you. I don't think it's acceptable. I think it's terrible. But it's part of it. You'll be ghosted. You will be ghosted in architecture. It happens. I've actually been to interviews and then been ghosted after the interview. Must have been something I said. I don't know. What are we doing here? What will you do when there are hundreds of us, Petro? Do you think this will grow to be hundreds? I mean, we're regularly in and around 20. I like it. 20 is a good size. And you know what I love? So many of you come back regularly, and it makes us sort of build like we're like a little unit in ourselves, even though I can't see you guys and you just see my big head, but I hope it's helpful. When there are hundreds of you, I don't know. Maybe that's a problem. That'll be a nice problem to have someday. What am I looking at here? Ishan says, but I feel as students, when you're your own client, it's the best time to explain and not lose this time because clients and bosses will just make it worse. That's an interesting point. I used to think this, but you want to know what the real skill of an architect is being able to do it for a client or under pressure. You don't want a blank check. You don't want no stress. You don't want an infinite deadline. That's torture. Architects don't really want that. The best architecture is made under pressure with constraints. Not extreme pressure, like not crazy pressure, but a deadline. Architects need a deadline. Have I missed anything here? Anid, are public sector urban planner jobs frowned upon among architects? Not this architect. Not this architect. A lot of architects might tend to look sideways at architects who don't work in traditional practices, maybe, but no, I don't think so. Timothy, love your content, by the way. Thank you, Timothy. Doing my best to make the content as good as possible. Tijan, thank you. The idea by the professor for the task is that every chapter of the city's history is on a level with a framed view to the relevant part of the city. I hope it makes sense. Tijan, that sounds like your professor's already designed the project. I don't know. Like, that sounds like a cool concept. Now that we're talking about concepts. Lazo, welcome. How are you? Lazo, I am very good. Thanks for joining. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing very well. Lucas says, I'm visiting Prague next week with a few fellow students. Have I been there? Any recommendations for the spare time? Never been to Prague. Never been to Prague. Anyone got any recommendations for Prague for Lucas? Einar says, I think if you make your videos a bit more short and concise, the views will just roll in. You've got the vibes, man. Yeah, but the videos that I've been doing, like you mean like the Helsinki reviews, they're not concise. They're chunky, long videos. They're I've sort of been a slave to that format since I started the YouTube channel a year ago, and I'm really glad now to finally have that done and out of the way. So the plan now is every Tuesday I'm going to post a review of a project, but they're not all going to be architecture projects necessarily. I don't know yet, but they'll be edited, so they'll be more concise, hopefully. The views, though, are not necessarily the problem. The problem is usually getting subs. Subscribers on YouTube is tricky, but I'm not complaining. I'm very, very lucky to have the audience that I have. So, yeah, but I am working on perfecting the content. It's a long grind. Content creation is tricky. How are we doing, people? We've got 5 minutes left on the stream. Last chance to get some questions in, and we're going to call it a night. Are we good? Are we all quiet out there? This has been a lot of fun. There are 22 of us in here now. I think this might be the best stream that I've done, certainly in terms of people engaging and chatting. Not that you've ever been shy. Also, do you know of Pigeon Architecture? Pigeon Architecture is a YouTube channel, right? I think I do know about that channel. Lazo, you just missed the stream. Lazo, I'm sorry. It's always going to be the same time every Thursday night. So 8 p.m. European time, 7 p.m. British Standard Time. And this will be available for replay tomorrow. Sorry, Lazo, that you're late, that you missed that one. Zed, perfecting the content. You said perfection is boring. Touche, touche. I said perfection in architecture is boring, but you can make content perfect. There are formulas. Okay, there are formulas. You all just chilling. FIFA, Dabber, what football team do you support? I support Arsenal. This is your chance for people now to unsubscribe. Don't worry, I'm one of the good Arsenal supporters. Um, Chat, I think we're wrapping up. I think that's it. I have had a very good time. I hope you all have had a good time. Yeah, nice idea to theme the streams. It's time. It just takes so much time to prepare everything content wise. So, and you do one bad one and three people show up and then you never want to do it again. And this sort of works at the minute, but maybe I'll do a poll and you can vote. Maybe I'll put a poll out this week. Architecture team, this has been super fun. Thank you, all of you, for joining. Yeah, Arsenal, well, everyone has flaws. We're not perfect. Speaking of perfection, this has been super fun. Another week of the CRUMCAST. Thanks for joining. I've absolutely loved this. Same time next week. And one last time, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, this is your chance. Subscribe to the channel because it's growing. It ain't going anywhere. It's going to keep going. I hope I've been helping out. I hope I can help you guys out with stuff. Looking forward to seeing you next week. All the best. Goodbye. Have a good night. Good luck with the deadlines. See you soon. Goodbye, people. Crumb out. Bye-bye.